Welcome into the WalterPicks Fantasy Football Show. Today is your starts and sits for the championship week. And where's Avery? Well, he's on Christmas vacation, well-deserved. So today, it's just us locking in for the Fantasy Football Championship. And our first start is going to be someone you may have been sitting, someone that even hit the waiver wire in about 30% of leagues, Ramondre Stevenson. Main thing here, he's got a great matchup. The Patriots schedule, are they great? Are they struggling? Because the schedule has been pretty easy this season, but that doesn't matter for fantasy football. And this week, they get the New York Jets. They're facing off against a team that's allowing so many points to running backs, and Trevion Henderson still in concussion protocol as of just a few seconds ago. Recording this video, we got news he's still in the protocol. That would give Stevenson all the main volume in a game the Patriots have to win. They're going for seeding, they're going for the division, and the Jets are the perfect matchup to let Ramondre lead you to a fantasy football championship. And one of the reasons you want to subscribe to this channel and at least like the video for today is that we're focusing on the edge cases. Obvious starts, obvious sits. We're not talking about those. We're talking about Chris Rodriguez, who I think is a great start this week. He had a nice game last week, 63 yards, a touchdown, 15 carries, 57% of the touches. When he's back, he's the main guy. And this week they face the Dallas Cowboys, who have nothing to play for. They are a weak defense. They give up the pass yards, the rush yards, and I know they are struggling at quarterback, but when you're struggling at quarterback, run the football, right? So they're trying to build a little bit of momentum heading into next season. Our first Juwan of the video is Jauan Jennings. Great start in Week 17 against the Bears. He's been lighting it up, scoring touchdowns the last few weeks. Purdy still dealing with injury. We'll see if he's back or not, but this is a great matchup. The 49ers, they got to win. It's all about the seeding. We don't have too many competitive games this week. Lots of big spreads, lots of backup quarterbacks, but this matchup for Jauan Jennings, definitely someone you can put in your starting lineup. Now, I would like to see a little bit more volume. He only had 6 targets in this game where Pearsall was out. Last week, he had 5 targets when Pearsall was in and played a lot of the game. Hasn't reached 20% target share, but still with the red zone upside for this team that's going to score a lot of points, Jennings can go in the starting lineup. I told you there'd be 2 Jawans in this video. This time, Juwan Johnson, spelled differently, but still a great start. We look at this matchup against the Titans. They struggle with the tight end position. They struggle against the quarterback. They struggle against the running back. Overall, this defense has been pretty weak all year. And Johnson, with Vele injured, was amazing in Week 16 against the Jets. I will, as a bonus, call out Taysom Hill as a solid start as well. So if he's on the waiver wire, if you picked him up throughout the season and he's on your bench, he's someone you can plug into your lineup for Week 17. Our final start before we jump over to the sits, and we got some big names in there, is Jameson Williams. Since the bye, this is one of the keys for fantasy football. Watch where the bye is and watch how people did after the bye. When I'm doing my analysis for next season, this is something that I do as well. There's a lot of players where, like Jake Ferguson, for example, he was awesome before the bye. Players get healthier. Teams are able to implement new offensive plays, new defensive options. Players change after the bye. Jameson Williams is a prime example. And I know he does have a tougher matchup, but you see in Week 9 against the same Vikings team, he had a big play. He had a touchdown. He's been scoring a lot. The Lions, they need to win this game, and it's also on Christmas Day, meaning the Lions will not be eliminated by the time this game is played. They've got a low chance to make playoffs, but they certainly have to start with a win by dominating the Vikings. Do not want to let them hang around. They've got a high-powered defense that can make some big plays. They've got a few offensive players. Like, you never know when Justin Jefferson's going to break out. Probably not. I'd probably sit him, honestly, if you somehow made it to the championship with him. But Jameson Williams, definitely a player that's been standing out since the bye. You can lock into your lineup, even though he was a little bit more disappointing in Week 16 against the Steelers. And I mentioned Jake Ferguson for a reason. He's someone I want to sit. I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about. Look at the bye week here. Before the bye week, he was incredible. Maybe tight end 1, maybe tight end 2, one of the best in the entire league. Team updates their strategy a little bit, and all of a sudden, Jake Ferguson is a mediocre tight end at best. His best week since the bye is 11.6 points. This week, he's got a great matchup against the Commanders, but with Pickens looking great, back to form last week after struggling for a few weeks. CeeDee Lamb, obviously there, Javonte Williams. In a game where the Cowboys don't really have much to play for, it's mainly about keeping Dak safe. I would not play Jake Ferguson, especially if you've got other options off the waiver wire. Another player with nothing to play for, you have to bench Travis Kelce. Somehow, if you made it to the championship game with Travis Kelce, I don't think you can start him at all. He was pretty good throughout the season. I think next year he's going to be a steal, by the way. We'll see where Mahomes is at. We'll see where he's at personally. But the extra offseason will be huge for the Chiefs. I talk about it when I talk about Saquon at the beginning of the season. One of the reasons I like Bijan a little bit better is that Bijan, the Falcons aren't making the playoffs. They're not a team that's going deep in the playoffs. They're not playing until February. that wear and tear adds up. The extra month or two of rest adds up significantly. The Chiefs haven't had that for years and years. And Travis Kelce's finally going to have a full offseason. This game does not matter. They're facing the Denver Broncos, who have to win. They've got a third-string quarterback, absolute disaster case for our Rashee Rice, for Xavier Worthy, for Travis Kelce, and especially Travis Kelce, we have to leave on the bench this week. If he plays, I would bench Rome Odunze. You know, the 49ers defense is bad. It is really bad. We saw Alec Pierce have a nice week. We saw the Colts, who didn't do the best against the Seahawks, have a pretty decent game against the 49ers, and maybe the Bears will as well. But Rome Odunze, he's missed 3 games in a row. That's a problem. Coming back against the 49ers, they do have to win this game, but the big problem is that if Burden's in, he's been looking pretty good. DJ Moore, I don't really trust DJ Moore at all, by the way. He had one big play in overtime. Other than that, he was really disappointing for the week. Overall, this Bears offense is not something I really want to take pieces of this week. Even Caleb Williams, maybe he's okay. He's been okay this year, has some decent rushing upside. But with the receivers, especially Rome Odunze, again, let's check out where the bye week was. Before the bye week, amazing. After the bye, pretty much nothing. That is a key for next year. That's why at WalterPicks, I'm on the projections team. So if you just download the app, that's already going to be somewhat baked in because I'm going to be reminding the entire team about this. But check out players after their bye week. Teams make updates and changes. Things get different. And Rome Odunze suddenly became unstartable after the bye week. I don't know if I want to trust him in my fantasy championship game. Another player, hey, I'm just calling it out here. Maybe there's a pattern here. I didn't pick these players on purpose, but they all fit the same pattern. Look at the bye week here. Before the bye week, yeah, he played the Rams. He played the 49ers. Pretty awesome before the bye week after week 4 when he started to get some real volume. He did have a couple down weeks here and there, but after the bye week in week 14, he's been pretty terrible. And let's scroll over in the WalterPicks app here. This will be telling. Look at the snap percentage. It was really strong these 2 weeks that he was down. Then he had some great snap percentage again, and he absolutely dominated. Since the bye week, the snap percentage has hovered around 60%. Not quite enough. The targets, the rushing attempts really haven't been there since the bye week. You can see a lot of green before the bye. After the bye, some yellow and red. Watch out for Rico Dowdle this week. I certainly wouldn't be playing him against the Seattle Seahawks. Our next sit is going to be Justin Herbert. He has been pretty bad this season overall. He's had a couple good games, but overall has not helped you win. He was good week 1, he was good week 7, 8, and 9, and he was good week 16. The one thing I want to point out is that this great matchup in week 16 was due to a great matchup. This week, he plays the Houston Texans. He was pretty awesome against the Cowboys. This was a great matchup. But Houston, that's a different animal. I certainly don't want to play Herbert this week. And really, what is a playoff game? This is a playoff game. This game matters so much to both teams. I would not be playing Herbert in a game that will probably be a little bit more of a defensive battle. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, and hit that subscribe button because WalterPicks is your home to win a fantasy football championship in 2025, but also next year as well.